As dawn breaks on the year 52 BC, Europe is a continent on the edge. At this moment in history, the Roman Republic, a vast empire of immense power and influence, is on the rise. Its ever-expanding reach stretches across the Mediterranean, fueled by ambition, military might, and a relentless thirst for expansion. Yet this growth does not come without resistance. On the northern frontiers of the Republic, beyond the Alpine mountains, lie the lands of the Gallic tribes. Fierce, proud, and fiercely independent, these tribes are not about to let their homeland fall into Roman hands without a fight. Their unity, however, is as fragile as it is crucial, with internal disputes often undermining their collective strength. In the midst of this turmoil, two figures emerge from the shadows of uncertainty. From the Roman side, Gaius Julius Caesar, a man of ambition and cunning who sees Gaul not just as a land to conquer, but as a stepping stone to greater power within the Republic. His tactical brilliance and political savvy make him a formidable opponent. Against him stands Vercingetorix, a young chieftain from the Arverni tribe. He is the embodiment of Gallic resistance, a beacon of hope to his people. He rallies the tribes under a common cause, to defend their lands and their freedom from Roman aggression. His charisma and courage inspire his people to stand against the odds. These two men, each a titan in his own right, are destined to clash on the battlefield. They are the embodiments of two vastly different worlds, two opposing ideologies, on a collision course. In the heart of Gaul, a small town called Alesia becomes the focal point of this struggle. It is here that the fate of an entire continent would be decided. Here, where the ambitions of one man and the resistance of a people would clash in a battle of epic proportions. In this crucible of power and resistance, the stage is set for the siege of Alesia. As tensions mount, two formidable leaders emerge from the chaos. The year is 52 BC and the Gauls have found themselves a champion in Vercingetorix, a young and charismatic aristocrat who rallies his people against the Roman invaders. On the other side, we have Gaius Julius Caesar, an ambitious Roman general with his eye on the ultimate prize, the title of Rome's first emperor. The stage is set for a confrontation that will go down in history, and the battleground is Alesia, a fortified hilltop town in what we now know as modern-day France. Alesia holds strategic importance for both sides. For the Gauls, it's a stronghold, a place they can defend against the Roman onslaught. For the Romans, it's a symbol of Gaulish resistance that needs to be crushed to cement their dominion over the region. Caesar, known for his strategic acumen, recognizes this. He knows that to conquer Gaul he must first capture Alesia, and so he marches his legions towards the town, preparing for a siege that will test the mettle of both him and his men. Meanwhile, Vercingetorix, aware of the Romans' approach, prepares his own troops. He's a shrewd leader who understands the strengths of his people, their knowledge of the land, their fierce loyalty, and their determination to protect their home. He knows the odds are against him, but he's ready to do whatever it takes to defend Alesia and his people. The stakes are high. For Caesar, a victory at Alesia could pave the way to his ultimate goal, becoming emperor of Rome. For Vercingetorix, it's about preserving the freedom of his people and their way of life. As the two armies converge on Alesia, the tension is palpable. Both leaders know what's at stake and the price of failure. They've made their plans, rallied their troops, and steeled themselves for the battle to come. With their armies amassed and their strategies in place, the siege of Alesia begins. The Roman and Gallic armies clash in a battle that will alter the course of history. In the late summer of the 1st century BC, the stage is set for a legendary showdown. On one side we have the indomitable force of the Roman army, led by the cunning Gaius Julius Caesar. On the other, the Gallic tribes under the charismatic leadership of Vercingetorix. The setting for this clash of titans, Alesia, a hilltop fortress in modern-day France. As the Roman legions approach the fortified city, Caesar, a master of military strategy, decides to lay siege. His plan is to starve the city into submission. He orders his troops to build a wall, a massive fortification encircling the city, preventing any form of aid or reinforcement from reaching the Gauls. It's a bold strategy, one that requires immense manpower and resources. But Caesar, ever the risk-taker, is willing to gamble. Inside Alesia, Vercingetorix watches the Romans work, his mind spinning with counter-strategies. He understands the gravity of the situation. The Gauls are outnumbered and their food supplies won't last forever. He decides to send out a call for help to nearby Gallic tribes, hoping to amass a relief force to break the siege. Meanwhile, the Romans continue to fortify their position. Caesar knows that the success of his siege depends on his ability to keep the Gauls contained within the city walls. His men work tirelessly, constructing a second wall facing outward, to protect against any potential Gallic reinforcements. As the first stages of the siege unfold, it's clear that both sides are playing a high-stakes game of strategy and endurance. The Romans, with their superior numbers and disciplined formations, seem to have the upper hand. But the Gauls, led by the fiercely determined Vercingetorix, are far from defeated. They have their home turf advantage and a deep-seated resolve to defend their land. As the siege continues, the balance of power begins to shift. With time, the scales of victory waver, and desperation sets in. Such was the case at the siege of Alesia. As the Roman legions pressed their advantage, the Gallic tribes, under the leadership of Vercingetorix, found themselves caught in a deadly vice. The Gauls, however, were not a people to surrender easily. They were warriors, proud and fierce, and they would not go quietly into the night. They attempted daring breakouts, launching attacks against the Roman lines with a ferocity that belied their dwindling resources. Each time the Romans repelled them, but not without cost. The Roman lines held, but they were stretched thin, their soldiers exhausted, and their supplies dwindling. Then, against all odds, the Gauls received a glimmer of hope. Gallic reinforcements arrived, a fresh wave of warriors ready to throw themselves against the Roman blockade. This was a turning point in the siege, a moment that rekindled hope in the hearts of the besieged Gauls. They saw in these reinforcements a chance to break the Roman lines and turn the tide of the battle. But Gaius Julius Caesar was not a man to be easily outmaneuvered. He had foreseen this possibility and prepared for it. His legions were ready, their defenses firm. As the Gallic reinforcements charged, they were met with a wall of Roman shields and a hail of arrows. The Romans held their ground, repelling the Gallic onslaught with a display of discipline and tactics that was a hallmark of their military prowess. In the end, the Gallic reinforcements were not enough. They fought bravely, but the Roman lines held. The Gauls had thrown everything they had at the Romans, but it was not enough. The tide had turned, but not in their favor. Despite their best efforts, the Gallic tribes find themselves trapped in a tightening Roman grip. Their fate was sealed, and the siege of Alesia was nearing its grim conclusion. The final days of the siege bring a bitter end for the Gauls. As the Roman legions tighten their grip on the beleaguered city of Alesia, the once proud stronghold begins to crumble under the relentless onslaught. The Gauls, led by their indomitable leader, Vercingetorix, fight fiercely, but the odds are stacked against them. The Romans, under the command of Julius Caesar, have completely encircled Alesia with formidable fortifications. The Gauls, isolated and outnumbered, are running low on provisions. Hunger gnaws at their resolve, sapping their strength day by day. In a desperate bid for freedom, Vercingetorix orders a sortie, a last-ditch attempt to break the Roman lines. The Gauls charge with all their remaining might, but the disciplined Roman legions stand firm. The sortie fails, and the Gauls are pushed back into the city, their hopes of liberation dashed. As the days pass, the situation grows increasingly dire for the Gauls. Starvation looms, and their options dwindle. Finally, in a decision that seals the fate of Alesia, Vercingetorix surrenders. The proud Gaulish chieftain, once the beacon of resistance against Roman encroachment, is now a captive in the hands of his foe. The fall of Alesia is a devastating blow to the Gauls. Their lands, their freedom, their dignity, all are lost to the inexorable march of the Roman Empire. But for Rome, this victory is a stepping stone to further conquests, a testament to their military prowess and the strategic genius of Julius Caesar. Yet the fall of Alesia is more than just a military conquest. It's the end of an era, the end of a people's struggle for independence. The Gauls, despite their valiant resistance, are subsumed into the Roman Empire, their culture and identity gradually eroding under the weight of Romanization. With the fall of Alesia, a new chapter in European history begins, a chapter marked by the rise of one of history's greatest empires, but also by the loss of countless cultures and peoples in its wake. The echoes of Alesia reverberate long after the battle's end. The dust has settled, the cries of battle have faded, but the impact of the siege remains etched in the annals of history. It was a turning point not just for the Gallic tribes and the Roman Republic, but for the whole of Europe. The aftermath of the siege was a time of change and transition. For the Gauls, the fall of Alesia marked the end of their resistance. With Vercingetorix's surrender, the dream of a united Gallic nation was shattered. They became a part of the Roman Empire, their customs and traditions fading into the background, their lands and resources now at the disposal of their conquerors. The Roman Republic, on the other hand, grew stronger and more expansive. The victory at Alesia cemented Julius Caesar's reputation as a military genius. His triumph added to the glory of Rome, expanding its territories and influence. It marked the beginning of Rome's transformation from a republic to an empire, with Caesar at its helm. But it was not just the immediate aftermath that mattered. The legacy of the Siege of Alesia continued to shape the course of history. The fall of the Gallic tribes paved the way for the rise of the Roman Empire, one of the most influential empires in history. Its language, laws, and culture have had a profound impact on the world, shaping the face of Europe and beyond. The story of Julius Caesar, too, did not end at Alesia. His victory made him a hero in Rome, but it also marked him as a threat. His rise to power led to the end of the Roman Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire, changing the trajectory of history. The echoes of Alesia continue to reverberate, reminding us of the power of strategy, the fallibility of heroes, and the relentless march of history. The Siege of Alesia stands as a testament to the relentless march of history, forever shaping the face of Europe. As we look back on the Siege of Alesia, we see a pivotal moment in history. The clash between the Roman Empire, under the leadership of the legendary Julius Caesar, and the Gallic tribes led by the courageous Vercingetorix, was not just a battle for control, but a struggle that would define the course of European civilization. The Siege of Alesia was more than a military conquest. It was a turning point, a moment that signaled the end of the Gallic Wars and marked the rise of Rome as an undisputed power in Western Europe. This was not just a victory for Rome, but a statement of intent, a declaration of the empire's ambition to dominate the world stage. But the Siege of Alesia was also a testament to the courage and resilience of the Gallic tribes under the leadership of Vercingetorix. Despite being outnumbered and outmaneuvered, the Gauls fought valiantly, demonstrating an indomitable spirit that would echo through the ages. Their resistance, though ultimately futile, was a beacon of defiance that continues to inspire generations. It's hard to ignore the strategic genius of Julius Caesar during the siege. His double circumvallation, a pair of fortification lines encircling Alesia, was a masterstroke of military strategy. It not only trapped Vercingetorix and his forces within the town, but also kept the Gallic reinforcements out. This remarkable tactic is still studied in military academies around the world today. The Siege of Alesia also had profound cultural implications. It marked the beginning of a process of Romanization in Gaul, where the Roman culture, language, and institutions gradually replaced the indigenous Gallic ones. This transformation would lay the foundation for the future development of France, influencing its language, its culture, and its identity. Reflecting on the Siege of Alesia, we realize that it was not just a battle, but a clash of civilizations. It was a struggle that would shape the destiny of a continent, and its echoes can still be heard today. The story of Alesia is a reminder of the power of ambition, the courage of resistance, and the relentless march of history. Indeed, the Siege of Alesia was not just a chapter in history, but a narrative that continues to unfold. It's a tale that reminds us of the fragility of power, the inevitability of change, and the enduring spirit of resistance that defines the human journey. It's a lesson that rings true even today, as nations rise and fall, as cultures clash and merge, and as the currents of history continue to shape our world. The Siege of Alesia, a dramatic confrontation between two powerful leaders, forever changed the course of history, reminding us of the constant ebb and flow of power and the indomitable spirit of resistance.